My name is Destiny Harris. I was born in Los Angeles, California, and when I was born, I tested positive for crack, heroin, and PCP. I was taken away from my birth mother and put into foster care, and I was there for about 8 months before my parents, Barbara and Smitty Harris, got me because they needed a little girl. So my mom always jokes and she says I couldn't have one, so I just ordered one. When they initially got me, they told me that the people who tested me said that I was always going to be delayed, I was always going to be behind, and so they needed to just kind of be prepared for that. And luckily, my mom didn't take their word for face value. She saw something in me that they didn't and knew that if she continued to work with me and my dad continued to work with me, that I would be okay and I would catch up. They did just that, and everything worked out beautifully. A little while after they got me, my brother was born, and they got the call and said, you know, she had another baby, do you want him? And they said, of course. And then a little while after that, my sister was born, and they said, okay, there's another one, do you want her too? And they were like, pretty much, let's go. Now I'm just part of this huge blended family, and my parents are at it again. They're in the process of adopting 3 more teenagers from the Ukraine. And so our total is going to be, I believe, like 13 kids altogether. And we always joke that we are like the Brady Bunch. My dad had some, my mom had some, they had some together, but then they adopted a bunch more, and now we've got this beautiful blended family. After I finished high school, I went to college. I played basketball for a little bit, and then I made the decision that I wanted to focus more on my education than sports because I wasn't going to be in the WNBA, and so I needed to buckle down and get serious. And I went through a couple different majors, choices that I thought I was going to be, and ultimately I knew that I loved children and I wanted to somehow impact their lives, and so I decided to become a teacher. Upon graduating, I took a job at a Title I school, which is a lower income school, and so it was a little bit of a awakening, because when I grew up, things were a certain way, you did certain things, and we didn't necessarily have a lot of the baggage that my kids come to school with every day. And so I had to adjust and put forth more effort in order to reach them. I think one of the reasons why I'm able to make those connections with those kids is because a lot of them, when I look at them and I know their stories, that could have easily been me. I could have easily stayed in a foster home and not had, you know, 2 parents that were there for me. I could have easily bounced around from place to place and not had a place to rest my head at night. There's so many different situations that my kids face that I totally could see. If I didn't have the blessings that I did, I could very well be in their shoes, and because of that, my heart just, you know, goes out to them, and it makes me, you know, want to be an adult in their life that they can count on, that is consistently there. Good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I still love you. And so I fell in love with those kids, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I came to Hope City because my mom met Michelle through Elite, and she told my mom about how she was a part of the Open Hearts program, and my mom, of course, jumped in, which also required my dad to kind of jump in, and they decided to be a host family. They needed to go to Hope City to kind of see, you know, what the church was like that we were going to bring them to, because all the families were going to bring them to the church. And so my mom called me one day and said, hey, you know, get up, we're going to church. And I was kind of like, no, we're not. Like, what are you talking about? And then she explained it to me, and I was like, okay, like, I'll go. And it literally, the old building was across the street from my house. So I had seen it a million times, but never thought, let me go wander in there. And so we wandered in, and we sat down, and it was very uncomfortable. I remember thinking, you know, are these people going to judge us? Like, are we dressed okay? And everybody looked like us, but it was still a nerve-wracking feeling because of the churches that we had visited previously. And so we sat down and we listened, and the way that Robbie preaches and talks to us, it was a perfect fit, because we didn't necessarily grow up going to church, And all the churches that I had been to previously felt like we were walking into a club where we didn't necessarily start from the beginning, so we kind of felt lost. And I know that they were talking about people in the Bible, but I didn't know who the people were. And I felt like I was always missing something. So I sat through, and he doesn't make assumptions. If he's going to teach you something, it's going to make sense. You just have to follow it through. He gives you the background that you need, which is totally, how a teacher should do it. Just, if you never know what your kids are coming in with. And so I love that about him. He just lays it all out there that it makes sense. And we have been there ever since. There are so many people that have come into my life through Hope City that they don't judge. They are just there to help you, and they believe in you, and even if you don't believe in yourself, they know like you're gonna be okay. And it is so refreshing to be surrounded by people who are in completely different walks of life, but all are connected through Christ. And it's something that I never really imagined for myself. I always believed in God, but I always felt like I was kind of a little bit too late. I felt like, either you grow up knowing and then you're good, or you were like me and it's kind of like you missed the boat. And I've never felt that way at Hope City. I felt like I walked in and it was home. It was somewhere where you were accepted and you didn't have to worry about what stage in your relationship you were in. And I could not be happier. And I'm so glad that, we're at a place where I'm walking in late, but I'm still accepted, whereas my daughter is growing up in the church. And I see it with how she interacts with other kids. It just makes me happy.